Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Good afternoon, Michael Malice here. Let that be your welcome for the next hour. This is an episode that has been a long time coming, and I'm kind of ecstatic that we have as our guest Tucker Max, who you...
That is the first time anyone's ever described a podcast with me as ecstatic. Walking in. Excited many times, never ecstatic.
I'll tell you why I'm ecstatic.
That's great. I'm excited about it.
It's not, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I don't need to be blowing smoke up your ass. First of all, for those who don't know, you are one of the maybe in slightly underground figures who have massively influenced culture in the last 20 years, especially for young men.
Yeah.
You are the author of Assholes Finish First.
Right.
I Hope They Serve Burgers in Hell.
Beer in Hell, but close.
I hope they serve that there too. You knew who you're getting yourself into.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're the co-founder of Scribe. We're here at the Scribe offices.
Mm-hmm.
I almost want to cry because I have helped a lot of my friends. I didn't think we were going to start the interview like this. I've helped a lot of my friends in terms of publishing, and people do not appreciate how nefarious the publishing industry is.
It's messed up.
You and I were both discovered by the same person, Jeremy Ruby Strauss, who also told Neil Strauss to write the game. He discovered Maddox, lots of other people. And just to give people an idea of what publishing is like, I had a buddy. It's the kind of thing where if you hear it, if it was in a movie, it would not be realistic. So let me give you one example. I had a buddy who had a book coming out, and the image on Amazon was blurry, the book cover. Yeah. And he had a better image. He emails the editor, he goes, hey, let's upload it with the new better image. Instead of doing that, you're laughing because you know what's coming. The editor writes back, he goes, I've looked at the two images. They are absolutely identical to me. It doesn't, and here's the thing, the cover doesn't matter. People go to Amazon, read the book description, and purchase the book that way. It is my belief this is the universal way people buy books. And you want to stop and go, let's break this down. Let's break this down a little, right? Okay, right? Let's break this down. First of all, humor the author. If they're
identical, this isn't a random dude on Twitter. This is a paid editor at a major house.
Yes. Let's look at this. First of all, let's suppose your author's crazy. Oh yeah, I've uploaded it. If they're identical, they're not going to know, number one. Number two is, don't you think you should have some idea of how people purchase books? Second, there is no product on earth, including brides, that are universally purchased in the same way.
No.
And he's literally saying no one judges a book by the cover. No one. It never happens. Hence the expression, no one judges a book by the cover. So when you hear things like this, and when you hear these opportunities people have to create a book, which is such a big deal, which is such an expression, which is such a part of your life, which is such a major accomplishment, and you watch these people take your kid and rape it in front of you and tell you that everything is fine, I don't think people appreciate how psychologically, I'm not using this word loosely, traumatic it could be for people. Yeah. So to walk in here and to see your office and the fact that you have solved a market issue that is very important to solve. Tell me about Scribe, because this is it's just so beautiful.
I mean, honestly, man, if I told you, I'll tell you what we do, but it's like, it's the obvious thing. It's one of those things where it's like, when I started as a writer, I was like, it can't be this way. Like, clearly I got the bad publishing house. Right? No, I didn't actually. Jeremy was great. I got actually treated better than a lot of people. It's everything about it is upside down and ass backwards. Essentially because publishing is governed by the social mores of Upper West Side or Upper East Side New Yorkers.
It's sorority girls who like books are overwhelmingly overrepresented in the publishing world.
Bookish girls, not sorority girls.
It's both. Okay, but okay.
Hold on, I dated too many sorority girls. None of them were publishing.
I haven't dated
I have, right.
Okay.
No, it's definitely, it's like people laugh. They're like, oh, in so many industries dominated by men. I'm like, maybe, Publishing is 90% women, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I think maybe more actually.
Female women and male women.
Right. Well, yeah, but like actual biological women, it's something like 80 to 90% women, which by itself is not necessarily anything bad or good. It's just they bring all, and they all went to small small liberal arts schools. They all have the same politics. They have the same worldview. So if you're like John Irving or something, they love you. If you're anything outside of that, they can't understand you.
That's the thing. It's not even that they hate you. They don't understand you. So if you don't get someone, how are you supposed to promote their work?
Exactly.
Even if you have the best of intentions.
Exactly. So that's just selection. And then the economics of publishing don't make any sense either, because it's a business that they don't care if they make money in a lot of ways. It's much more about social status with elites, media elites in New York, than it is about money, which doesn't make any sense in so many ways until you understand that, and then everything about publishing makes sense. And so
right. What, like, because it's like nothing's adding up, and then it's like Unusual Suspects. It's like, oh,
it all falls together.
It actually does all make sense.
It does make total sense.
Yes.
There's a couple assumptions you have to have. So then, like, once I was very successful with books, and then same problem you have, right? Every author, when you write a book, you get two questions: what's your book about? How do I write a book? Right? Sure. And so I after years of getting that question, I started helping people. And then eventually, this woman was like, how do I write a book without... I told her everything you had to do. Like the normal kind of elitist, snobby writer answer, which boils down to open a vein on a keyboard, right? Which is bullshit, but it was what I was saying at the time. And her response back, I'll never forget, it kind of shocked me. It was basically like, well, how do I write a book without doing that? And then I started lecturing her about hard work, like an asshole. And this woman is like super successful entrepreneur, done all kinds of stuff. And she rolls her eyes at me and she's like, Tucker, this is at entrepreneur dinner. She's like, Tucker, this is an entrepreneur dinner. Are you an entrepreneur? And I'm like, yeah, of course. She goes, I don't think so.
Oh, shade.
Because a real entrepreneur would help me solve my problem and not lecture me about hard work. And I was like, oh, fuck. Because she's totally right. Yeah. I was being the snobby elite that I hated, right? And so then I just thought, all right, well, how do I make this process simple? And I started with her and her book. And then we just kept going. And now it's been 6 years, the company, and we've done little over almost 700 books, I think we have published. And we got another 1,000 in process. And some pretty big books like David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, Tiffany Haddish's book, Last Black Unicorn, Nassim Taleb's last book, his math book. We did the Nobel Prizes book in America. We've done a bunch of other big books. And we're growing exponentially because of exactly what you said. It's like, what would a company be if they were designed around serving the author? So like, we'll coach you writing your book, and we got an amazing coaching process. We'll help you write, like kind of ghostwriting. We have that process, except we interview you. So we get your ideas in your words and your voice. It's not like I write my version of it, right? Or we just do straight publishing, and you pay us a fee, and then you own all the rights, you own all the royalties, you get to make all the creative decisions, but you work with top tier people. So it's like all the same people who do covers at, because all our book cover designers are freelancers. Yeah. So it's all the same people, and
there's so many talented people out there,
and they're not that expensive,
and who love to build their portfolio. And it's a good book cover is like, whoa, what is this? But they don't think like that.
Publishers don't. Yeah. A lot of them don't. Yeah.
I did Dear Reader, my North Korea book, came out in 2014. It still pays my rent because I get all the royalties. And one of the concerns I had that anyone has when they're in any sense self-publishing, I did it through Kickstarter, right, is, which you contributed to, thank you, is it has to not look like some crackhead in their basement.
Exactly. If
I put this book on a shelf next to some major book of yours, it has to look like, okay, these and this. Yeah. It's not, one doesn't look like these bad fonts and screaming. So all of these books, I was looking to be like, all right, what are the cues that this is amateurish? And there's none.
Well, so there's a couple I can point to that aren't very good. And all of them are where the author was like, no, I insist. Okay. Like right there, I'm not going to call her out, but her face on the cover, she shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, but there's lots of professional that are done like that.
It's done well for that version. Right. She just should. And there's a few others, and we'll tell them, we think you're making a mistake creatively. Here's what we would do. But if they insist, it's their book. They should be able to make that choice.
But David's book right there, it would be in Barnes and Noble. It would look identical.
It was in Barnes.
Yeah, okay. It would look identical to every other book. But
Better, actually. That covers amazing.
Right, right. The point is, and there's no longer the stigma of if you look at the paleo people, right? A lot of them, Dave, what's his name? Dave Osprey or something like that?
Dave Asprey.
Yeah, I think he did it self-published.
Yeah,
but
his early books.
Yeah, but then they do huge numbers because like I want to have his knowledge. Yeah. I don't care if I'm getting it through Penguin or through him. This guy is clearly smart. He's
no one
clearly
knows who the publishers are anymore.
Yeah.
I always ask people, when they argue that, I'm like, tell me what your favorite book is. And they tell me, I'm like, who published it? No one can ever answer that unless they're a sci-fi nerd and Tord is the publisher. Because sci-fi nerds always remember. No one else does.
Because that's like back in the day when you had a house and that house would curate their books.
It had a theme, and it was like, you knew Tor would be for you.
Just like a record label, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So you don't. I mean, your book sold such ridiculous numbers and still sells such ridiculous numbers. You didn't need to do this. So the fact that you chose to do this is something I think is so wonderful, and I don't know what to say. I'm saying I know it must also be one of the things you and I are, now that we're old men, we appreciate is, and I'm an immigrant. My parents are immigrants too. Obviously, was born in Russia. Is you get that sense of, this happened to me. Now maybe I can do it so it doesn't have to happen to you. Yeah, like maybe like I took these punches and now I can save you from having to take them. Yeah. And when you have, like, I have a lot of kids that I mentor, and when you save them from having to deal with what you dealt with, it makes it worth it in a sense.
No, I still run the coaching workshops. Like, I lead them personally. And it's so funny, man, because the people will come in. And like a lot of them, most of our people are not professional writers. They're really smart, good writers, but they're like the high level CEO coaches, or they run businesses, or they're high level executives. Like, they're very accomplished, and they're like, watching them go through the transformation over 2 days, and then over the course of them writing the book, it's all, and it goes the same every single time. Like they come in and they've convinced the rational reasons they have for writing a book are all sort of monetary and like justifiable, and like career, and then you start unpacking, and then it's all about identity, self-worth, growth, status, all that sort of stuff, right? And like real like emotional stuff. And they start to go through the process, and it's like, man, it's almost like going through an emotional mental boot camp. Like, they're broken down, and I'm not gonna mean to them about it. They just get broken down because even if the book's about like tax law, it's like they're questioning themselves and their abilities and all this sort of stuff.
Why does this matter so much to you? That you've dedicated your life to this? Explain to me.
We have a whole process where we actually put people through, where they like have to understand why it matters to the audience and all that kind of stuff. And then by the end, they're like, of 2 days, they're usually in tears, because two things: they realize that, one, they have knowledge that actually really matters to other people, and that if they write this book, lives are going to be changed. And if they don't, lives, like, there's a big opportunity being missed, right? But then by extension, they realize that they matter. And that their career has mattered, and that the work they've done has mattered. And so it's almost like a validation of self for a lot of them. And I think they unconsciously kind of hope for that when they come in, but no one will admit it.
Right.
But then at the end, they all get there, and it's so many people. It's almost like I tell people it's going to be like being pregnant. Like, my wife's had 3 kids, and every time like she gets pregnant, she's really happy. Up to about 6 months, she's connecting with the baby, and then like at month 9, she's like, get this fucking parasite out of me. And then like a year or 6 months after the baby's born, she's forgotten how much she hated that period and the birth and all that. I'm like, that's exactly what it's going to be like. It's going to be, you're going to be excited when you start. You're going to pretty much by the end hate it and think it's the worst thing ever, and probably hate me. And then 6 months after it's out, you're going to have forgotten all of that negative stuff and will only remember all the best stuff.
And for the rest of your life, you will have it on your shelf. Mm-hmm. And when you die, that book will be there, and you have, and I say to people, all we can do is leave the world a little bit better than when we came in. And if you can do that with a straight face, you're a hero.
Yes.
I want to talk about, there's 2. Okay, we'll do this one. I think about you often because there's a quote you had once which resonates with me now as my platform has gotten bigger. And I can imagine, Tucker, even though I've never met you before, just being triggered at home. Because you had a line in one of your books where you go, there's like 3 kinds of drunk. Walk me through, what's the quote? There's something drunk, something else drunk, and Tucker Max drunk. Right?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Right, whatever, it's like that. And then you found out there's all these dudes who would go up at a bar and be like, hey, there's this drunk, that drunk, and Jeff Jones drunk. And you'd be like, yo, if you're ripping off my lines, give me credit or think of your own fucking And I have this all the time when people, and it gets
take all your quote.
Well, they'll take a quote, they'll fuck it up, then someone will quote it, and then I've had them quote it back to me like incorrectly,
right.
and like I won't acknowledge it, but the fans will, and I'm like, you have no idea where this even came from, and it's from me, because my quote's
about like the progressive.
Yeah, conservatism is progressivism driving the speed limit, and they were like, conservatism is progressivism going really slow. I'm like, do you think there's a catchier way of saying this, asshole? So, but here's what I want to know, like. You had such a stigmatizing reputation, and were such
in certain circles.
Yes,
right.
But
definitely
you were like king of the bros, even though you weren't in a frat yourself. What was your relationship like with your audience then, and what is it like now?
Honestly, man, my relationship. Well, so I didn't have one audience. I kind of had 3 audiences.
Okay.
I had the people that were like me, who I thought was gonna. When I started writing. My audience were my 9 friends I went to law school with, who were all just like me. And a lot of them are smarter and funnier than me, to be totally frank. And so, like, in my mind, my audience would be just like me. They'd be smart, funny people, right? Or people as smart and funny as me. And, like, I'm just the one writing it down. And then as I started getting bigger, I remember there were, like, 2 camps of people, of fans. They're the ones who worshipped me. They were like, oh, this is amazing, and you're a god, and I can't believe anyone does this. And I remember like thinking like, I went out and got drunk and talked to girls. Like there's nothing magical about it. It's fun, but there's nothing magical or cool about this beyond like anything, right? But then there's the other group that were like haters that were like, this is all bullshit. This never happened. And I'm like, I went out and got drunk and talked to girls. Like, what's not believable about this, right? And so both of them, I realized, it took me a long time to realize this. Both of them I was just an object to them.
Yeah.
So the lovers were idealizing me so they could justify their own refusal to be courageous in their life. Well, if I'm a god, then they don't have to compare themselves to me. And the haters were doing the same thing, but the reverse. They were tearing me down so they didn't have to face whatever they didn't want to face in their life. And so it was just 2 sides of the same coin. And like, so that was very weird for a while. And then honestly, I got to the point where I hated my fans, and it wasn't their fault. It was, I had painted myself into a corner because like I'd gotten famous for drinking and hooking up and partying. And as I was growing out of that phase, your fans don't want you to leave that because they love you for who you are then. And I can't blame them for that. Like they didn't do anything wrong.
Sing I Will Survive. They want Gloria Gaynor's Sing I Will Survive. They don't want her to sing her new songs.
Stuff, right. And so I really started fucking hating them, and which was like is silly on my part, right? But then that's why I had to retire from Fratire and then like kind of just stop writing and stop doing everything for a while. Just because, like, dude, fame is very traumatic in a lot of ways. And most people who desperately go in search of fame are doing it to avoid their own trauma. So I had both. Both were true for me. And they collided with me. And it was really, really... It was a mind fuck for a long time. It really was a mind fuck to hate your fans. And not all of them. Because there was like the small group of people who were like the smart people who got all the... Because my stuff is like 3 layers. It's like there's the fart jokes, there's like the obvious jokes, and then there's the really like... not super deep, but you know, you have to have some... Which I didn't realize. I didn't think any of my stuff was complicated until I would meet a lot of people who like only got the fart jokes and nothing else. Yeah. And I was like, oh, wow,
you exist.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or like I'd meet dudes, man. I'd be in Whole Foods and some young guy would go, oh, dude, I love you, Tucker Max. And then he would slob my knob for like 30 seconds. And I'm like, okay, thank you, dude. What? And then then he would get a little bit upset. He's like, why aren't you like fucking drunk laying under a table screaming curses at people? And I'm like, it's 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, you fucking idiot.
And I'd be dead. Like literally, if I'm doing this
What's
24/7,
wrong
I'm
with
dead.
you?
Yeah.
But really, in his mind, that's who I was.
Yeah.
That's like, that was my identity.
Yeah. People have this, it's not even binary thinkers, it's unitary thinkers.
Right. And it's like athletes go, I have a lot of friends who are pro athletes. They go through this too, where it's like fantasy football. Like, dude's a friend of mine, like, it was a pretty big football player for a while. And he's like, bro, I would come home on Sunday night and I had to wait 3 or 4 days to read Twitter because my mentions would be full. If I had a bad game, people fuck you, you fucking, like he's black, cursing, like calling him all kinds of, because like he only had 70 yards and no TDs, and like all angry at him. And it's like, but because of the fantasy football team.
Yeah.
Not even because of like the team won.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, dude. Yeah, like he's like, this is what the fuck. He's like, you can't complain because I'm making, $8 million a year. So
but that's the thing. Here's what I'm going to disagree, and I think you would disagree also. I really hate this idea that if you're successful, you don't have a right to feel your pain or a right to have your problems. Like if I have a company and I'm not producing enough product to meet demand, boo-hoo, you're too successful. That is a problem. It's a good problem to have, but don't pretend it's not emotionally tough. And same thing here. Like you're doing a sport, you love your sport, but to have people you've never met sincerely loathe you, and they're also sincere fans. How do you even reply to this? It's you don't have the framework for that, so it is going to be upsetting.
No, it's not that you can't. Like that's one of the reasons why a lot of famous people hang out together is because no one else can understand what that's like.
And then it's like, oh, you know what it is? Like for you, I would imagine it's like if it was tough for you for a while to find a girlfriend. Right. Oh, boo-hoo, you're fucking too many women. But that is a problem. Like I have a friend who hooks up a lot, and I'm like, isn't that like emotionally hard? He goes, yeah, because like if you're fucking a lot of chicks and none of them want to see you again, you start wondering, am I so bad that you don't want to see me twice? But why are you laughing though? You don't think that's upsetting?
No, it's true. Because it was the same thing for me.
Okay.
I mean, like, I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing out of like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like, I grew in this one girl very specifically. I was at the peak of my hooking up with all kinds of girls phase, like multiple girls a day, as much as I could, basically. And not hookers. Like these were girls who were coming to me, right? And there was one girl I really liked, like for whatever reason, just like pheromones or whatever. Like I was into this girl, and like she wanted to hook up, and we had a great time. And then she wanted nothing else to do with me. And I remember I texted her a couple times, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this isn't how it's supposed to work. Like this doesn't make any. Oh, dude, yeah, it's just because you're rich or famous or both doesn't mean you don't have problems. It's just the problems are so weird and so different that most people can't conceive of them, and so they have no empathy because they think
you're humble bragging.
Well, they think when I was poor and anonymous, I had the same thought. When I'm rich and famous, I won't have problems, right? And so you don't want to hear rich and famous people complain because you think, well, when I'm there, I won't have your problems. Bullshit, you will. You'll probably handle it terribly and squander all your money and hate your life and. Like most people
Hollywood.
who get...
You think Hollywood, they're all like well-adjusted and la la la. They are very successful. Everyone likes them. Everyone treats them well, and yet they're fucking self-medicating and all this other shit.
If they're not pedophiles.
If they're not pedophiles. So if you could go back, right, and talk to that Tucker, what would you tell him? I know it's an annoying question, but like
that
your dad
wouldn't
now.
listen. He was an arrogant...
Okay.
The real answer is I'd probably have to fight him because he would not listen. But if he would listen, oh man, I'm honestly not sure because like this is gonna sound like a Buddhist cliche, but I really did have to suffer through the shit I suffered. There was the shit. What I would tell him is something obnoxious like take $100,000, buy Apple stock at $3. Okay. And then put it in a trust so you can't touch it for 20 years, you idiot, right? Or something like that. Like, because everything else was shit I had to go through it to learn the lesson. Some people, the saying like idiots repeat their mistakes, smart people learn from their mistakes, and the wise learn from the mistakes of others. I'm not wise. Like I didn't learn from others' mistakes. Everything I had to learn, I had smart people who cared about me tell me. Virtually everything. And like, I just couldn't hear them. I had to suffer to be in a position where I was ready to listen.
what's it like going from like a regular dude to getting these like ridiculous royalty checks every month or every quarter? Like because the thing with royalties, not that I'm making anything close to yours, like I did the work. Why am I still getting paid for this? You know, like, so there's something surreal about it. It doesn't feel like earned.
Yeah, I mean, that was not money was not the hard thing for me. Like it's different things for different people. Even though I had a weird childhood. I grew up with my mom. Parents were divorced, obviously. Grew up with my mom. We never really had that much money, but my dad had a lot of money. So like I was around money and I was in those worlds. I just didn't have it. So once I had it, I was like, well, of course I'm supposed to have it. Like it was almost like reality catching up, right? So money was never the issue for me. For me, it was women, right? Like men don't understand what it's like. You have to be a very ugly, very odious woman to not have penis thrown at you your whole life, right? Like penis is abundant for women from the time that before they even understand.
Yeah.
But like you've got to be the most beautiful dude to have pussy thrown at you. Like I was friends, one of my best friends actually is one of those guys, those rare guys who are just stunningly beautiful. Women just walk up to him.
Chris Williamson.
Right, that type, right? And so like I was, and I loved being friends with him. It was so funny because every time we went out, all the girls would come over and none of them wanted to talk to me at first, which makes sense. But he was kind of an idiot, right? Oh. And so like after about half an hour of hanging out with both of us, they'd realize I was real fucking smart. And so the smart ones would always be into me, you know? But like once you become famous enough that women come to you, the world, it's almost like putting on sunglasses or like the comparison I use is if you grew up on a desert island, eking out an existence, right? You're alive, but it's never real, not much slack, right? And then imagine you get picked up by like Carnival Cruise Lines and you're just like miles of buffets there. You would just eat until you threw up for weeks on end, right? Okay, that's
you think it's not going to last also.
Right. And so that's what it's like. You go, even if you're a dude with a ton of game, you still have to do things to get girls. Once you become famous, you could be Jonah Hill and women come to you and want to,
I know a guy who was a Chippendales dancer.
Right.
And I was like, what's it like? Blah, blah. He goes, I still had to talk to that Milwaukee 7 all night. You know what I mean? It's not like you think. It's not the opposite.
No, but once you're famous, because then they have a relationship with you in their head.
And a status thing.
Right, a status. Yeah. And so it's like,
am I going to be one of your stories?
Oh, dude. I can't tell you how many times I heard that. Yeah. And so it was like, it's the world just becomes this grotesque, like a Roman bacchanal. Like it's like in the best and the worst ways. And so like that was the thing that really spun me out, was first believing that. Like, wait, girls are like, she just came over and sucked my dick and like, this is cooking. What is going on? I don't even know her. What is going on, right?
And it smells really good.
Right? Like, I don't understand. And then getting used to it and then coming to expect it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like the entitlement, of
course. That's a dark line to cross. Like, wait a minute, you're going to suck my dick and you're not going to cook? What kind of asshole are you?
Oh, hold on. Wait, why are you talking to me if you're not going to have sex with me? I don't understand. Like,
yeah, what's going on? You know what the rules are. What are you from another country?
Do not know who I am? Like, oh, I definitely had moments like that were like, what's wrong with you? I had more than a few of those. But like, yeah, dude, that was the thing. Because it's just, any girl knows what that's like. They know. Like, even 6s have been the hottest girl in a bar at times and have 4 guys trying to fuck them.
I was talking to some chick and she was a 6.
Right.
She's perfectly fine.
Right.
And I just went on her Tinder just just to see like what it's like. And
oh, dude, full.
I'm just like, oh my God. Like when you see the actual, hey, how, first of all, no one knows how to open. Yeah. Hey, hi, how are you? Hey. But just to see it, it's just like, this is mind boggling.
Yeah. That's a normal woman's life. And guys do not get that until you have some level of fame.
I know 2 dudes who are models,
right.
And it was the same thing. It was really fun talking to them because it's like, oh my God, it must be so awesome. And they're like, yes, it's awesome, but every single chick thinks you're a player, and you have to do work to prove to her that you're not a douchebag. And like, yeah, it's better than being an incel, but it's not a problem.
Yeah, but see, he's a model. when you're a writer or famous or whatever, they already have a relationship with you.
Yeah.
As a model or like a cop, they're fucking the uniform.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
Whereas when you're famous, they're fucking you or their version of you in their head. You know?
Why? But it just seems funny. Why would a chick want to fuck that Tucker Max character? Because he doesn't seem like a particularly...
Dude, so here's the thing that really fucked me up. This you could never have convinced me this was going to happen until I saw it over and over and over. So as I got really famous, I started to attract a certain type of girl. There are quite... Now, I know why fucking 50 Shades is so popular, man. There is a certain type of woman who has a lot, either really, like they're really into being abused. And not like, I don't mean like domestic violence abuse. I mean like
emotionally?
Dude, whatever, man. I'm talking whether it's physical or emotional. Like obviously they're asking for it, so that's not abuse, it's consensual. But like I can't tell you how many girls would come fuck me and like would get upset that I didn't treat them worse. And I'm like, they would want me to hit them, slap them, choke them. But that was just basic. There were plenty of girls who like had really, dude, there was one girl, man, like I still think of, like, it was like, holy, it was like, she was trying to pull me into the dark side or something, man. Like she wanted me to do some awful shit and like she wanted it.
Yeah.
Not, like, this was not, she wasn't trying to
are you Tucker Max? This is what I came here for.
No, she wasn't trying to set me up.
Yeah.
She really, really wanted some horrific shit. And oh God, man, there were so many of those that it was just like, what the fuck? Like,
oh yeah, you crossed some line, and now it's like now you represent.
Right?
Yeah.
Because in their head, I'm like some sadistic, and they weren't girls really. They didn't know the books that well. They just knew my secondary reputation. Yeah. The ones who read
so you're
the
some
books,
misogynist asshole, right?
Misogynist. Oh, he'll treat me like shit. Like so that's I had to be. It wasn't early fame was the fan.
That Tucker Max treats her like shit means I won't call you, which when a feminist hears that means he's going to choke you and shit in his mouth. No, it just means he's just not going to call you and like won't respect you.
There was one girl,
that's as bad as it gets. Sorry.
So no, dude, for real. The early girls were fans. They'd read my stuff and they came to drink and party and fuck and have fun. Never had any. That was fun. But then once the ones who weren't fans but had just heard of me, those were the ones looking to be abused.
Yeah.
Or at least a segment of them. Man, that was mind trippy shit, man.
It's one thing to get rough because people have safety words, you could pull back, so on and so forth. To say words that are intended to hurt somebody else is so much more difficult because you can't unring that bell. And like I'm sure you and I have been in fights and arguments, family or whoever, when people say things and you remember that shit for years. You know what I mean? And it really gets to you.
Yeah.
So to have someone say these things, it's like, I don't want to ever be that person. That's a horrible human being.
No, there was one girl who pushed me, like, it was like the shit she wanted me to do to her. Like, it was like, it made me question who I was as a person. Yeah. Right? Like, first that I considered it.
Yeah.
Like, and then like, I got, oh dude, I'll never forget. She was like the girl where it was like, okay, no more. Like I'm done with this. This is where this road leads, is to darkness and despair. And I'm not talking about BDSM. Like if someone's into that, I'm cool. I don't care. I'm not judging that.
It's like cosplay.
No, this was way beyond that, man. This was serious, dark. This is the type of shit that like I don't know, man. I think you can go to jail for doing consensual. Like all the shit she wanted me to do, emotional, all this stuff, and I can't even think of it.
Because you also have to realize what the backstory was who got her to that point.
Right.
It's not that she just has a kink.
Right.
It's someone got you to this place.
No, she didn't like me to put my hand on your throat during sex. Cool, no problem. No. This girl had to have been seriously fucked. Like really ritually abused to get off on this. Like that, right? That's the thing is like, what the fuck happened to her to get her here? And then also, she's coming to me for more of this. This is not first off, this has never been who I am, and this is not who I want to be. What the? No,
I think in their case, it's like if I'm getting off and enjoying it now, that meant back in the day it wasn't abuse and traumatic because this is just how I am.
Well, it's, like everyone will bring up their trauma over and over until recreate it until they can work through it, right? I can't imagine what happened to this girl based on what she was asking for.
Hey guys, Michael Malice here. I want to take a second to talk about our sponsor, Real Paper, REEL Paper. I love this company. If you go to realpaper.com, REELpaper.com, and use code WELCOME25, you get 25% off a single purchase or your first subscription, and it's free shipping. Here's what it is. It is 3-ply toilet paper made entirely of sustainable bamboo. Yes, it's soft. Yes, it's durable. And 3-ply is 50% better than the 2-ply garbage your friends use. So if you're entertaining and they're at your house, they'll be like, oh, what's this? Oh, you've never heard of Real Paper, REEL Paper, and you never use promo code WELCOME25 to get 25% off a single purchase and free shipping? It's great for the environment. They don't use plastic wrapping. Plus, this is great. They help people in need get access to clean toilets. I don't mean the crappy content of this show. I mean hygiene, which is so important for people in the third world. Realpaper.com, promo code WELCOME25.
What made you decide, all right, something's got to change?
That dating sex, that one girl was a big turning point. There was 3 or 4 in a row where it was like, it was when I finally recognized to myself that I was now the object. Like women talk about objectification all the time?
Right, yeah.
And like,
you don't want me, you want this person in a book.
I never understood what women meant when they said objectified. Like I got it intellectually, but back in my mind, I'm always like, bitch, objectify me. Like, that's cool. Let's go
I'm a
for
stud,
it.
yeah.
Okay, well then after a few years of that, I was like, this is awful. And now I understand now I get it, right? Like, because if you can't experience it or imagine it, how can you empathize? And so a few years of being objectified was like, okay, this is terrible. And then like, also, man, I just grew out, like I didn't want to go out and drink and party anymore. It's funny, I'm 45 now. At 25, the thought of having to go to bed at 9:00 with my wife and 3 kids and then waking up at 6 to take care of the kids, you couldn't have painted a worse picture for me. At 45, that's my life and I love it. And what I did at 25 is like drinking every night until 2 or partying with all these people. I'm like, oh, that sounds like hell to me. And they were both great for different periods of my life. Same thing, man. Like I got to be mid-30s, early to mid-30s, and I'm like, I just don't want to do this anymore. It's tiring. It's boring. It sucks. It's one of those things where, I mean, look, when I was young and broke and poor and anonymous, I thought being rich and famous would solve all my problems. I got way more rich and famous than I thought I needed to be. And it's better than being poor and anonymous, truly. But none of my problems were solved. Like none of my real problems. And in fact, in a lot of ways, I had more problems. And so like I realized, well, the problem's got to be me. Like there's shit inside of me. I'm not going to fix it externally. And so then like, I'm like, all right, well then if I'm not going to find the solution to my problems in a bottle or in a vagina, then why am I still chasing these?
Yeah.
You
right.
know?
I've tapped every vagina.
Like they're not fun anymore. I mean, I still like to have sex, but like doing it the way I was doing it was destructive and not fun.
Yeah.
And so it was like, all right, time to stop.
What is your advice to people who are at a point where they can hook up with their fans? Because my concern is, for just in general, what happens is if there's no follow-up, you're really fucking up this person's head.
Maybe, maybe not. It kind of depends.
Okay.
It's hard for me to say because I was in a really unique situation.
Sure.
Like the women who like stepped up to the plate, they're like, what did you expect, right? Sure. Like it's not like they're like, okay, like I understand what's coming with him.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's fair.
Whereas like it's someone like your case, you don't write about that stuff. So like they could have all kinds of fucking fantasies or ideas that might not align with reality. Here's the thing the overall advice I would give is be very careful hooking up with fans insofar as they probably don't see you as a person. They probably see you as an object.
Sure.
You know, you are Michael Malice, writer, author, provocateur, whatever.
Yeah.
The image they have of you is what they are trying to get, not you, right? It's funny. As I got older, like I said, I started hooking up with fans. As I got older, this is when the dark girls were coming at me. I actually liked it a lot when I'd do events and a group of girls would come and like 6 girls. And like 4 of them would be fans and 2 wouldn't really, they kind of know who I was, but they didn't. Those would always be the 2 I would end up hooking up with because like I was high status because all their friends wanted me. So they knew, but like I was actually funny in person, but they had no expectations or baggage. So like they would get status by hooking up with me, but they were looking at me as a person instead of Tucker Max.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing you got to be careful of is, what are their expectations coming in? What are their and how are they looking at you? You know, like how do they see you? Like, you know, I dated a couple girls that were like, when I lived in LA, which is just like you come to LA as even quasi famous, and it's like, okay, like the 50 girls who try and date all the famous dudes immediately find you. Like this one girl I dated. It was me. She was dating me and Macaulay Culkin at the same time. I know, right? How random is that? Macaulay Culkin. We're about the same age though. And I remember like she was trying to make me jealous, and I'm like, you can never make me jealous of anything with Macaulay Culkin. Like bless his. I like that poor guy. I'm like, I feel bad for him, man. Bless his fucking heart. Like, and she got all upset, and so like, that's the thing you have to look out for is what are their intentions, what's the story or the fantasy in their head, because like you meet a girl out, she's dealing with you as a human, not Michael Malice, right? Like I meet a random girl who doesn't know anything about me, she's dealing with me.
Yeah.
A girl comes to an event, she's looking for Tucker Max.
It's just I'm a fan of very many people, so I would imagine like if that person was like, sorry, I'm not interested, it would be devastating for me. So I don't ever.
Oh, that happened to me.
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. I can think of one girl in fucking of all cities, St. Louis. This girl, I was super into her. Like she was at one of my events and she was kind of into me too, but she had a boyfriend and she like wasn't the type that cheated on her boyfriend. So I'm like, what are you doing at my event?
Yeah.
No, I mean, she was like into me, but like she also really liked her boyfriend and wasn't going to cheat on him. So like I had good instincts. She was a good person. But like that did spin me out a little bit that like I put my cards on the table. I'm like, I want you to come. Like, I'm super into you. And I might have said something about dating. Who fucking knows? But like, she was like, no. And yeah, I didn't get angry at her, but it spun me out. Definitely.
No, I just meant more like if I dated someone and then I shot them down, it would have such a disproportionate impact on them, and I don't want to be that person.
Yeah, that's some arrogant shit coming from you, though.
That's what?
That's pretty arrogant.
Is it?
It is.
Wait, how is that arrogant?
Because it's like, oh, she can't handle breaking up with me.
No, I'm just because I'm putting myself in a position where if I'm a fan of someone, and then that person says they don't want to talk to me anymore, that would fuck me up because then I'm like, what did I do wrong? Okay, so explain to me. That's what I'm asking.
No,
These aren't rhetorical questions.
That is a little bit arrogant. And
I'm very arrogant, yeah.
Well, because look. There are women who absolutely that would be the case. And there's others who like, it depends on the woman, right? There's plenty who maybe you're like, oh yeah, like I follow him on Twitter, I like his stuff. But like most healthy women that I know, there's a divide in their head between like, I follow somebody and I want to date somebody.
Okay.
Right? Like they're very different levels of analysis, right? And so like, if she engages you as a like, if you go out on a date or hang out with her and then you become a person to her and she engages with you that way, I wouldn't worry about it at all. Because then if you guys break up, it's because of an individual issue, a personal issue between the two of you, not because she's getting dumped by Michael Malice, right?
That's
Whereas
okay.
like, you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
Whereas
I
like
do see.
If you fuck
okay.
a groupie,
yeah,
you know, and then let her hang out for a while and then just cut her off, that's a whole different dynamic. You see?
Oh, so actually that makes a lot of sense because then it's like, okay, to prevent this, do have that level of emotional intimacy Because then if there's a breakup, it's a breakup with this other human being, which you've been through before,
Right.
as opposed to this
It's a
entity
person.
that you've kind of created that means something to you.
Exactly.
And that entity will still be there because the
Right.
work will still be there. Oh, that's really reassuring.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I've had this discussion with my friend. He just had his second kid, Archie, who's absolutely adorable. My sister's second kid is about to drop any day now. I'm really, really excited. I love being an uncle. You are the best person to answer this question. Do you think sex is overrated?
No.
Okay.
I think it's almost impossible to overrate it.
Okay.
At least for me.
So you think the level of esteem sex is held in our culture is the appropriate level?
I'd probably put it higher.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Now, porn's different, right?
Sure. I'm not
like,
talking-
because, dude, I'll tell you. I mean, like, again, it's gonna sound like a cliche. It's just true. The physical act of penetration or whatever is fantastic, right? I did a lot of that. But once you actually connect emotionally with someone,
No,
then
I'm
it's
not
like,
arguing with that at all. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's a whole nother level of amazingness,
Of course.
right? And so, like, yeah, no, dude, I can't imagine, like, man, if it wasn't for women and sex, I wouldn't do anything. Why
Really?
Would oh, dude. Why would I? Companies or wealth or try? Why would I try? I wouldn't give a shit. I'd just sit at home and play video games all day with my dick in my hand if I didn't care about girls or sex. Seriously. It's like civilization exists is because men are that into women and sex.
Do you know what Jeremy's favorite joke is in your books?
No.
It's I love it too because it's very subtle and it goes against the character and you pass it by and then you're like, wait a minute, because at one point you're on a date and the girl goes to the bathroom and you say and where she went to go punch herself in the vagina or whatever it is they do in there. And that this Tucker Max, who's been in every orifice and every woman, is still like every regular dude, has no idea what they do in the bathroom and why it takes him so long.
Yeah. I still don't know. I don't know. What do I know?
Now that you're a dad, now that you here's another quote I've had, and I really want to hear your input. I have said that it's impossible for people in their 20s to emotionally accept, but life in your 40s is much better than life in your 20s.
Way better. Way better.
If you're in your 20s, you cannot. You're like, okay, you're old man
It's
trying to make.
unthinkable. It's unthinkable.
And
you can't.
You're
even
making
conceive
yourself
it.
try to feel better. You old losers.
And I got an addendum. If your 20s were better than your 40s, you have lived your life wrong.
Yeah.
And you better make some changes quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the way to flip it. To go ask yourself, if you're old and your peak was your 20s, was that a good life? And then you're like, oh shit, no.
No, if they argue, be like, so you think those people who peaked in high school were even better than you?
Right. And then it's like, oh my god. Yeah. Yeah.
Melt them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's like I'm better at everything. I'm 45. I'm better at everything except like physical endurance. Like, I could run fast. I'm stronger now physically, but like, I could. That's about it. I'm smarter. I'm wiser. I'm richer. I'm more mature. I'm more empathic.
You have
I'm
more
more
life
emotionally
around,
secure.
love around you.
Way more love around me.
Yeah.
I'm way more connected to myself. I have everything is better in my life by major factors. Everything is better by multiple magnitudes. Yeah.
Was it useful to be like the cocky, arrogant motherfucker when strangers started hating you, just people who didn't know you? I mean, it's very jarring at first, isn't it, when someone who doesn't know you just really resents and despises you? Because you had a lot of hate. Like, you were really the poster boy for like everything wrong in America for certain people.
Yeah. I know it's gonna sound weird. No, it didn't. There were a lot of things about my fame that bothered me, but like, people I didn't like or respect hating me was not one of them. Like, it just wasn't. It really wasn't. Like, I've just never. I had pretty shitty parents, but some of the things they gave me were like an understanding early on that the adults didn't know what they were doing and no one was coming to help, and that most people are idiots.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
I understood that as a young kid, and so like the fact that like so a lot of times I was confused early on because it's like, hold on a minute, I'm exactly who you for anything you say, you should be rooting for me. I didn't really understand the envy and jealousy type stuff and how rampant that was in media and all. I just didn't get it. But no, I mean, like, I'm a big proponent, and like, if I don't want someone's life, or if I don't respect who someone is, why would I care what they think? But it goes both ways. There were plenty of people who loved and adored me that I was like, okay, that didn't impact me that much either, you know?
Do you think life in America is harder now for young white males than it was when you were coming up?
I don't know. It's hard to say, man. In some ways, it's way harder. In other ways, it's way easier. I don't know. On net, it's hard for me to say because I'm not.
Well, what are the ways where you think it's easier and what are the ways where you think it's harder?
All right, so how's it easier? There's way more opportunity.
Yeah.
To go around gatekeepers and all. Like, you basically have unbounded economic opportunity right now. If you're anybody, it's not just a young white guy. Anybody.
Yeah, you can make your name.
Yeah, you can make your name and a ton of money. Whoever you are from anywhere on earth, you have unbounded economic opportunity.
And also status opportunities. You can make something. Put yourself on YouTube, and now you're the guy who does this.
Exactly. So you can easily do both. There's way more niches. It's way easier to find a niche and to dominate it and to be the person in that niche.
And they respect each other. Now, if someone is like the guinea pig guy, it's like, oh, cool, you breed guinea pigs. As opposed to when we were in high school, it's like, you're a freak. Let's beat the shit out of him.
Exactly. I think there's just way more. There's way less. I've seen. You're close to my age, so we were in the transition. Like when I was coming up, the people. And it's not the exact same people, but the authoritarians were on the right when I was growing up.
Yeah.
They were the religious fundamentalists who were, you can't have sex, you can't drink, you can't do anything.
They were trying to ban shebop. Right. Cyndi Lauper was too fucking out there for them.
Oh, dude, really, seriously, for real. And now they've all shifted to the left, right? Which is, societally, it's more dangerous when they're on the left. People die. A lot of people die when they're on the left. We just have a repressed society when they're on the right. Although it was very unpleasant. But it's crazy because my career has spanned, like I've seen it. It was weird. It was like a 3-year period, like in the middle, and then boom, it went all right to all left. At least it felt like to me. So like coming up, there's a lot more access to stuff. Like, man, dude, if I had really understood the impact and importance of psychedelic therapy, man, I would have fucking fixed my shit so much faster, right? Like there's so much pain I would have avoided in my own life and all that kind of stuff. So they have access to so much information, so much wisdom, so much, all that sort of stuff. That's the good. The bad is, right. It's like, it's very like the groupthink and the wrong think is so prevalent and the oh man, it's just like, and dealing, like, it's so hard, man. Like little things, like I look around and it's like, it seems like all young girls are fat now, and I could totally be wrong, man. Like it's not like I'm hanging out on college campuses trolling 22-year-old girls. I don't fucking know. But like, it just seems like there's a whole different dynamic. Yeah. And so I think every generation goes through this. So I'm probably just an old man now. But I remember like when I was 22, everyone was in shape, right? And now it seems like everyone, and not just the girls, it's not like the dudes are all in shape and the girls aren't. Everyone's fat and doughy. And it's like, this is super weird. Yeah. And so maybe, I guess, if you're also fat and doughy, it doesn't matter. But like, so like, and it just seems like, there's a malaise, and there's a almost, not a surrender is the wrong word. It's hard because I'm looking at it with my eyes, and if I was that age, I wouldn't have my eyes, you know? Yeah. So it's hard for me to say, but I don't know which is harder or easier. I really don't, man.
I think it's extremely disturbing how young people are being lied to and told if you do certain things, you're going to be happy, and those things are not going to make them happy.
Yeah, but so are we.
Yeah, but I think it's the kind of thing where men and women are on different calendars, and if you go down this wrong path,
the women got fucked the most.
The women got fucked the most, and it's like if you make yourself unattractive both physically but more importantly emotionally, if you are someone who's aggressive, who is angry, who does not seem like someone who wants a conversation,
Who takes no accountability for your life.
yeah, you're not going to get what you want. And this is just, you should be more selfish and be like, all right, I want certain, and it's okay. It's okay to want to have that emotional connection with another human being.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you on all that. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Dude, we were lied to just as much. It's just there were far fewer outlets for us to see the truth.
Yeah.
And now it's easy to see the truth. But that's the crazy thing to me is like how few people actually look for it. Although more and more people are starting to wake up, it's like kind of shocking to me how many people are like, oh yeah, okay, well, person X said statement Y, I guess I'll believe it. I'm like, really?
Yeah. They are desperately wanting to not have to make decisions.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, like I want to think that they're worse at that than my generation. I think that's probably just my bias. I don't think it's true.
What was it like for you with your relationship with your friends to go from like a regular dude to like now I'm Tucker Max?
Such a good question. No one asked me that question.
Okay.
That was one of the hardest things.
Okay.
Because of my 9 friends and I in law school, only 2 really rooted for me. The rest were fucking kind of haters about it.
Oh, that's
yeah.
awful.
Well, I mean, and it makes sense, man, because like, think about it. Like this dude that you just spent 3 years in law school with, who's just like you, became a fucking star, and you're a fucking 5th-year associate at a firm you fucking hate.
But that's, I don't think like that at all.
Well,
that's why
you're successful, dude.
Yeah, I guess.
Because if you have an abundance mindset, you're like, he succeeded, so can I. Most people are like, he succeeded, fuck him.
But it's also like he succeeded now and he takes my calls. So, but I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's always a good thing to have powerful friends.
Dude, most people would prefer.
If I want to be an author, sorry to interrupt you, right?
Yeah.
And now my intimate circle is Tucker Max. He can get me on the phone with any editor, be like, I'll do the introduction, look at this guy's proposal. That is a dream come true.
I mean, no argument for me, man. No argument for me.
That's got to be extremely hurtful. And the other thing that I'm guessing,
that was way harder for me than like Gawker hating me.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
fuck
yeah,
those
yeah,
losers,
yeah.
right? Like, but my friends not rooting for me was like, and it's not like they were like active haters, but
that makes it worse when it's the passive aggressive little comments like, oh, I guess blah blah blah, and it's just like, what are you, a woman?
Yeah.
It's so.
Yeah.
This is an annoying question, but I have to ask it. What are you proudest of your whole career?
All right, I'm gonna give you. This is gonna. I don't blame you if you get annoyed with this answer, but it's the God's honest truth. I honestly try. I don't actively try. I just don't spend a lot of time thinking about pride.
Okay.
To me, pride is like a lower emotion.
Okay.
You know, a lower emotional state. Nothing wrong with it. Pride's way better than shame or guilt or anger, right? But pride just feels like all the critiques of, let's say, the Trump voters, right? Like the critique that resonates is they're insanely prideful, you know? And it's like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, that's not... Pride is better than a lot of the real low emotions, but it can't compete with courage or love or acceptance or go through the list, right? So I really try not to spend too much time. I'm proud of X, I'm proud of Y, because it keeps you stuck in that thing, you know? And I would much rather, whatever I've done, I mean, I can be happy I did things and I can recognize them. I'm not like, oh, I don't, you know, I didn't do this or, but it's more like, I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. That's cool. And I like it, but I'm not stuck on that. That doesn't define me. And I feel like being proud gets you stuck where that is, as opposed to, what am I going to do now? Those things are done and they're cool. What am I going to do now?
How you were self-made as Tucker Max at a time when it was much harder to be self-made than it is now. You self-published I Hope They Serve Beer, and then Jeremy found it, whatever. How did you get that trajectory going, and how much of it was like surfing and how much of it was driving?
I mean, most of it, man, like was, I don't want to say it was luck. It was just
organic, like word of mouth kind of
stuff.
stuff.
It was just perseverance. It was both I kept going, and then I had, when you have something that people want, you just have to keep going. That's it. And then everything takes care of itself. If you don't have something that people want, nothing you're going to do is going to work. You're wasting your time.
I want to hear your thoughts on this. One advice that I give to kids is when I first started trying to be an author, I read this book called Jesus' Son by Dennis Johnson, which Chuck Palahniuk recommended. And the book was just so amazingly written. I didn't realize he was a poet that I'm like, I can never do this. And then I realized I don't have to be Dennis Johnson. Right. There is a Dennis Johnson. I just have to be Michael Malice. And I tell them, go to any bookstore, look at all the shelves, look at all the shitty books. That could be you. You could be that mediocre author whose friends are like, how did this fucker get a book deal? And when you put it in those terms,
like Dan Brown.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm not even shitting on him. Dude sold 60 million books.
Is it 60? Holy shit!
It's something crazy like that. What my opinion is of him is irrelevant.
Yeah. What's it like when you're at the peak and every airport you go, you see your face at the store peeking out?
This might sound awful. It's like at the beginning it was like, oh, amazing, right? But then after a while you just get used to it. And it's like you don't.
Yeah, hedonic adaptation.
Yeah. No, not just adaptation, but then also like you realize the emptiness of it.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't necessarily mean meaninglessness. I just mean like it doesn't actually matter, you know? Like at the end of the day, like you still have to put your pants on 2 legs at a time. You got to wipe your ass. You got to pay your bills. You got to love the people around you. You know, like it doesn't really, at least most people, and I know I fell in this category, even if you don't rationally think this, you still have this notion in your head of like, once you're rich, famous, high status, whatever, it's like you live on a cloud and you don't have problems or whatever. And it's like, seriously, of course I would have been like, of course I don't think that. But then when I got there, I realized I did. Like I had a fantasy about it in my head. I definitely did. And I got way past. And it was like, what the fuck, man? Like hardly anything in my life has changed except for a few things have changed drastically. Yeah. Like my relationship to women, right? But other than that, everything's the same.
What kind of dad is Tucker Max? Are you fun dad or are you stern dad?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. We have neither my wife and I are very stern. We have a few clear rules and boundaries, and we hold those. But dude, I mean, like we have a bunch of household principles. Like if it's safe and legal, they get to choose it for themselves. So like they dress themselves when they go to school. Like we are not, I am not like, you can't wear this, you have to. Fuck that. I hate that. Hate that. Like my job is not to make them, to make me proud of my children. My job is to provide an environment for them to figure out who they are, you know? And so like, I'm very much about helping them grow as people and helping them discover and whatever. And then inside of that, oh yeah, we play and oh, dude, you love this story. So, my son and I play. So he's filled out. You know, last Father's Day, they have a little sheet, and you fill out. You know, what's your dad's favorite food, whatever. And then one of the questions is, what's your favorite thing to do with Dad? And so Bishop wrote, get beatings. And so the teacher calls and she's like,
yeah, she does.
She's like,
CPS.
What the fuck? And my wife is like, I told you this was going to happen, because like I love to tickle him and play, and I call that beatings, right?
Yeah.
So like, 'cause I'm like, Bishop, come get your beatings, and he'll laugh and run around and catch him and tickle him, right? And then, you know, like punch him a little bit, like not actual beating, like fun. And so we call it beatings. And so like people over for dinner, and he'll jump on my lap, Daddy, beat me. And like he'll laugh, and they see, because it's funny. And the teacher was like, you have
many problems, Mr. Max.
Yeah. So my wife was so mad. She's like, I'm telling you, CPS is going to fucking show up at our house because of this.
One of the things I'm still pissed at my dad about, and this has been 18 years. My sister, she's 13 years younger than me, and she had like a reading comprehension thing for homework, and she's like kindergarten, first grade, and there's a story about how Timmy can't climb the tree because his mom said you're not allowed. Yeah. And the question is, why can't Timmy climb the tree? And I spelled it out for her, and she wrote her little kid handwriting, because he is handicapped. And my dad saw it, and he thought like she made a mistake, as if like, first of all, how would you get that as a mistake? Second of all, how would she even know that word? And he wouldn't let her hand it in, and I'm still like, dude, it would have been so funny. But now I get to my nephew Lucas, he's 3, and she's got a very sick sense of humor. So we put photos of him on Instagram that one got taken off from Facebook. Because I had a series of 3 for Jewish Heritage Month. I was teaching about his heritage. So I showed him the Star of David. Then I wrote a number on his forearm.
Oh, dude.
And then I showed him the oven. So that was my little trifecta.
I've got so many hilarious. Wait, there's
Yeah.
one I got to show you about Christmas. I'll show you the story of his Christmas in 3 pictures. It's fucking amazing.
Oh, what a cutie.
So he had Christmas money, goes to Walmart. See that?
Oh, my God. Here, let me show you this. I got this. Hold on. Where's the search? Here it is. Dude, I just did the same thing with him. Here we go.
Yeah, I thought I followed you.
Well, you can follow me now.
I guess not.
Follow. So me and him are playing with scissors.
Oh, nice.
Then here's the ambulance. Oopsie whoopsie. And now he's got an eye patch. Good as new. My sister's like, I'll give you candy if you put the eye patch on.
Did you actually get his eye poked?
No,
this is all you just took a picture? That's amazing.
Yeah. I would never. He's adorable. He's such a little cutie. Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's so cute because they are so clueless about life, and it's like our job to be like, we want you this way, and to kind of be safe and kind of like, you have no idea how bad it could be, and it's our job to make it so much better for you than it was for us. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite part of this interview?
I don't know. Probably you asking about my friends. No one ever asked that. I think you're the first person who's ever asked that question, which is like that's one of the big things that happens when you get famous. How do your friends handle it? And no one ever, probably because you have enough like fame to like, or notoriety to even like just a little bit, but everything changes. And most people they don't understand that.
You are welcome.